Hello and welcome to another episode of the RGM Podcast. We're super excited to be back. We're sorry we've been gone for so long. As I'm sure everybody is aware, there was this little event called E3 that happened last month, which kind of consumed a lot of our time. So we really didn't have an opportunity to spend much time with you in June, but we are back in the new financial year and ready to rock. So before we go any further, let's introduce today's panelists, starting with my co-director, Julius Malco.
Hey, everyone. How's it going? Hope you had a great June. And big shout out to all our fellow Canadian gamers. It's Happy Canada Day, the big 150 years. We have quite a bit to go through. Like Bella mentioned, E3 was just last month, and we had Sam and a few other people from RGM go boots on the ground for the first time there. So we'll look forward to what he's got to say.
Absolutely. So on that note, we also have Samuel Tolbert, Assistant Editor-in-Chief.
Hey, everybody. It has been way too long, but we're back and we're ready to go full force. We have so much to talk about from what was absolutely fantastic and much hyped E3. I have a lot to talk about from being there, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything and anything in between. Let's get right on it.
Indeed. And Mr. Eric Jackson, our graphic designer extravaganza, amazing magician, is also here today. Been a while. We're so happy to have you back.
I am happy to be here. What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone's having a good weekend, playing a lot of games, drinking, whatever you want to do. Hey, it's all good. Let's have fun.
Well, damn. I can't pick on any of you. That was great.
I was thinking about messing with you, just coming in like real monotone. Like, but
That's
offer up your target.
The enthusiasm in the room.
A hiatus, I came in with energy.
Excellent, awesome. Because there's nothing to not be energetic about when it comes to the RGM podcast, because we're discussing games and we love games. Apparently, gaming is in our blood. So we are going to be having a chat about some of the recent and upcoming game releases, games like Anthem, Shadow of the Colossus, Beyond Good and Evil 2, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, the Metro Exodus, the original Xbox games coming back with compatibility. We are going to be discussing the reveal of the Xbox One X, which I like to call the hug and kiss me box. I'll explain more about that later. We have games trivia returning, and let me tell you, these gentlemen had better be good with Google, because I'm going to be putting them through the ringer with today's events. We also have some on-the-ground news report from E3 itself, with the fact that Samuel was actually at E3, so he's going to be able to give us his impressions and talk us through a little bit like what it was like to actually be on the ground and participate in E3. And of course, everybody's favorite Moon and Groan segment, What Grinds My Gears. So let's get straight into this. Anthem. Oh my God. I need that game in my life right now. Who's excited for it? What are your thoughts? Let's go.
It's I don't know how many times I've watched this trailer. It's probably one of the most watched trailer, and I'm going in there and analyzing and looking at this. I'm going, this is exactly what Destiny. I thought Destiny was going to be. And now we've got something like this that incorporates everything that we should have had. It looks amazing.
I know, but I don't know where they go. So. Absolutely,
yeah.
I agree. I am so pumped. I'm going to save my thoughts until last. I'm going to let Sam and Eric go first.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll just say really quickly, beforehand, there was a lot of hush-hush, all we knew was it was called Project Dylan, it was BioWare's new IP, and everyone was thinking, the chatter on the ground there, even before the EA and then the Xbox conference where we found out we were going to learn more, it was all like, wait, they're trying to outdo Destiny? That's not going to work well. Destiny is ingrained, even if it could have, been received better, if the story could have been better. No, everyone loves Destiny. That's not going to happen. Not a single person was saying that after that trailer revealed.
Right.
They have a massive opportunity here to capitalize on what Destiny got right and wrong. It looks fantastic. It's got science fiction. Evidently, there's also some science fantasy, sort of like Star Wars, according to the game directors. They're going in full force. It looks fantastic. Bring it to me.
Yeah, see, the moment that I heard the word Star Wars, I'm like, all right, take my money. Take my money. But Mr. Eric Jackson, please tell me your thoughts on Anthem.
There's nothing to be mad at from what they showed or when we finally got the reveal of Anthem. It just looks like, to me, what Mass Effect Andromeda could have looked like and should have been, just from a visual standpoint. But what's intriguing is definitely the fact that I don't like doing that whole thing of what could be the what killer, because we've been there before, and typically that doesn't always pan out. So I just want Anthem to be its own thing. If it can challenge Destiny, that's beautiful. But I'm not looking for it to kill Destiny. I'm just looking for it to give another option to Destiny. And if it can deliver on what it wants to deliver, they'll definitely have me. Because I like Destiny and all, but I'm just looking for that game. I don't know, that speaks to me a little bit more than even what Destiny does. So the third person perspective, the world just looked amazing. Like you said, they mentioned the tie into like Star Wars-ish type stuff. It just looks like it's just going to speak to me a little bit more. So I'm just hoping they can deliver.
Absolutely.
It's BioWare, it's A Squad, so I don't expect them not to.
Right.
Oh yeah, totally.
And there's good facial animations.
Oh, well, I mean, okay, all right. I didn't want to say anything, but then we had someone in chat mention, Mass Effect killer, and I'm like, okay, yeah. But the thing is, it's like this is yeah, I know. This is a CG trailer, right? So that aside, I want to see that in action on the final product, and if it's exactly the same, then okay, props to BioWare.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if they can get it right here, then maybe the next Mass Effect, may end up having better facial animations. Who knows, right?
Pretty sure they learnt their lesson on that one. Just saying.
Yeah.
I think they're noting that down on the what not to do in the future list. Look, for me, Anthem, it kind of surprised me because I've heard a bit about it leading into E3, and so I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. But when actually watching some of that gameplay, I kind of got a lot of like Mass Effect Andromeda mixed with Titanfall, mixed with a bit of Call of Duty kind of vibes, which for me, I'm totally fine with that. I'm all for that. But the thing that I loved most about it is when you were listening to the dialogue, the game is actually poking fun at the fact that it's a video game. It acknowledges what it is. So I'm like, you know what? This is new. This is fresh. You don't see this very often. So I'm really excited for Anthem. It's in my top 5, which we'll discuss later. But my top 5 things that I saw at E3 I walked away from it going, well, damn. Guess I'm going to be buying that game.
You could hear a pin drop when we were watching this live. Because we were like, what is this? And then we're like, oh my God, what did we just watch, right?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Seeing that in the theater was absolutely riveting.
Oh, I can imagine the energy going through there.
Yeah, there would have been a lot of wet seats. Yeah.
There's a lot of goodness there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So moving from Anthem straight on to Shadow of the Colossus. Now that's actually quite an important one. I know there are a lot of people that are super, super excited for this game. What about you guys? Is this a game that you're going to pick up? Is this something that when you saw the reveal of, you were just like, oh my God?
So I have some mixed thoughts if I can go first. On the one hand, I think game preservation in any form is a fantastic thing. And Shadow of the Colossus, I've never actually personally played it, but I understand by many that it's a hallmark of gaming. So the fact that Bluepoint does great remastering work, but the fact that Bluepoint is remastering it, that's great. I'll probably pick it up. However, there have been some comments by the game designer recently that there are going to be some story elements that are changed from how they were originally. And I'm not really sure how I feel about that.
Okay.
I'll piggyback on that. Yeah, that's something to definitely put a pin in and hopefully keep an eye on as things go on. However, depending on how they handle that, it could be a good thing because I don't really want to go into the Shadow of Colossus thing as far as like a story thing because I don't want to
right.
Destroy anyone's expectations or whatever. And we can always talk privately, of course. But I will say, Shadow of the Colossus was one of my favorite experiences in a game, from the PS2 generation. Mm-hmm. And I played it again, the remaster on PS3. And even with that, I was super excited that they're going to be bringing it to PS4 because it is definitely a cult classic. It has a following. I definitely think more people should experience it. I do want to know what they mean, when they're going to change some of the story elements, because if they're going to add certain things that could be interesting, but we'll see. We see how all that pans out. But no, I'm definitely excited for it. I will be picking it up, playing through it again. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan.
Awesome. Well, see, I didn't play Shadow of the Colossus, so for me, this is going to be an entirely new and exciting experience. So I'm pretty excited for it because I've been listening to people for so long go on about this game, So, yeah, I was pretty excited to see that. I was pretty excited.
Well, because I'll say this too.
See what they do with it.
There were Colossi that were left out of the game. So,
okay.
If they're
so
saying
maybe this is a restoring lost content type thing.
Exactly. So that's what I said. We'll definitely revisit it. Let's kind of see what that means, because it could be concerning either one way or the other. It could be really awesome, or it could be like, what are you doing? So we'll see. But no, if they're going to add to it and bring some of those Colossi that kind of made sense to the story, that could be good.
Fair enough.
It's supposed to be a much bigger game. So.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's move straight on to Beyond Good and Evil 2. Thoughts on that?
Oh boy. Someone else go first.
Okay. All right. Before you continue on that. Oh, doom and gloom here. Don't go there. So Beyond Good and Evil is one of those franchises that I never really got a chance to experience on the original Xbox. Mm-hmm. So I've been looking for a used copy so that I can go through it so that I can prepare myself for what's coming. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at with that. So and looking at the trailer that they showed at E3, it looks really cool, and it looks completely different, and it's got me intrigued. So that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's BC, Julius, unless you really want to get like an old physical copy to play it on. But it's on BC.
Oh, it is?
It is, because I just played through it. A couple of weeks ago.
Awesome.
And,
I'll go find it.
Because it was one of those, I never got a chance to finish it when it released back in 2003. My save file got corrupted, and it was just one of those things. By that point, I kind of just moved on. But and going back and revisiting it, it is a game that I really, really enjoy, because I think it was a game when it came out that it was doing things that we had not yet seen in games, in story mode, in story type games. It was a little bit ahead of its time. So when I saw the trailer, this trailer being, at E3, when it first started, I was like, this is Beyond Good and Evil. And I got hyped. But after the trailer, I was still hyped just for the fact that they're talking about Beyond Good and Evil and seeing the reaction from the fans, and from Michel Ancel, seeing his tears and everything. That was all a really good feel-good moment. But coming out of it, I kind of said, well, where's Jade? Where's Paige? How come none of them were in this trailer? And then we go a few days later and we get, information on what this game is supposed to be. And it doesn't have anything to do with those initial characters. So it's not really a sequel. It's just sort of like Beyond Good and Evil, even though they're calling it Beyond Good and Evil 2. So It's just, I don't know what to think, because what they explained broke my heart. But that could, again, it's one of those things I'm going to put a pin in, because something could change. But from the direction that they're trying to go with it, this open world, you're an avatar in it, it made the trailer make more sense, these new characters that we were introduced to, but it took away from my hype for getting a true sequel to what is one of the better games of bygone generations.
Okay, so that really sucks, because it's like, I mean, as soon as I saw the pig in the trailer, I was like, okay, this is pretty iconic. I think this is Beyond Good and Evil, but then how could you miss Jade, who's a part of that first game, right? And they call this a sequel. So I don't know. Well, hopefully we'll hear more about that, unless Sam's got some insight on that.
I'm just going to piggyback what Eric said. I was super excited when I first saw the pig hand come into the screen, and then I was like super excited. And then the more I learned about it, the less interested I am. I still want to give them a chance, but they're not getting off on the right foot.
See, for me, and so I haven't played the first Beyond Good and Evil. So I really can't judge whether I feel like the franchise is headed in the right direction or not. But for me, watching this is one of these rare times where you probably will never hear this from me. But for me, watching the trailer, I was like, I have no interest in this. This looks like a game that's going to annoy the crap out of me.
Well, I can see why, but
not surprising.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all. But it's also kind of hard to judge what that series kind of initially was off of that trailer, except for the fact that there were no F-bombs dropped in the original Beyond Good and Evil.
Oh yeah, so the language has been cranked up to an 11.
Yeah, so again, it's definitely another one I'll be putting a pin in and keeping an eye on. But initially, a little crestfallen about the post announcements. But again, we all know things can change, and the worst thing you can do in our hobby and the things that we enjoy is make a snap judgment.
Right.
Because sometimes things end up delivering in a bigger way and become something bigger than what you actually thought it was going to be. So we'll see.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I'm not completely discarding it, but when I was watching that trailer, I just it was so cheesy. It was so cheesy. I'm like, all right, this game is going to annoy me. But I can't judge an entire game off one CGI trailer. So I'm one of those people that will just sit back and watch and see what comes out about it between now and release and make my decision then. But right now, I'm not compelled. I'm not compelled at all.
Well, the trailer did fit the tone of that world. Like the quirkiness of the characters and the tone. It just the language was a little different than what I was used to. But again, but I can see why you feel that way.
Yeah.
It was very meta. In a way, it was
well, from a game that I wasn't overly impressed with to a game that when I saw the artwork come up in the first 3 seconds, I knew what it was that was about to be announced, and I literally had tears well up in my eyes. Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Oh, Lord.
That is a game that is a game that I have a very strong connection with. The way that studio goes about creating an attachment to the character and making you actually feel responsible for Ori's well-being. Like that trailer that they released with the original Ori and the Blind Forest, where you see how Ori came to be where he is, and the mother that takes him in, trying to feed him and stuff. Like I cried so hard, like not just some tears, but like actual sobbing. Could not see the screen properly, sobbing. They did such a good job of sucking me in with that. And then the game itself was brilliant and beautiful and vibrant and fun and challenging. I cannot wait for Will of the Wisp. I'm so excited. How about you guys?
Oh yeah. I'm that Ori's one of my favorite games of this generation. And we already kind of knew that a sequel was definitely in the works, but finally seeing that it is on the way and seeing something from it and just hearing that music again. Yeah. There were emotions. I'll say that.
Yeah. If you haven't played the first game or anything like that, or you haven't seen the trailer yet, I don't want to spoil it, but holy crap. That was moving, and they did a phenomenal job the first time around. I see no reason to doubt that they'll do anything less this time. And that artwork with the HDR effects and the vibrant world they have, that is one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was like watching living watercolor.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that game. While we're talking about surprise announcements, though, Metro, who saw that coming?
I did not see it coming.
I didn't either.
Not pleasantly surprised.
Did not see that coming either.
Yeah, so we're all watching this together, and we're like, what is this? Like, this looks brilliant. And then the gun comes up and everyone's like, oh my God, it's Metro. They made another Metro. Oh my God. Like everybody lost their minds. Oh
Yep.
my God, that game looks so good. And then at like the end of that trailer where he goes outside and takes his mask off, so it gives you sort of like some sort of benchmark as to where you think the game is going to be set and what has happened between the last one and the next one. Oh, so much excitement. Who's played through all the Metros?
I have.
Of course you have. You played through every game ever made.
I have started. I started Metro. Well, the first one, I should say, but I have not finished both.
Was everybody compelled enough by just that CGI trailer to go, "Yep, you know what? I'm getting this game. I don't care what else I see. I'm getting this game."
Absolutely,
It was compelled because it wasn't a CGI trailer.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love, and I think that these publishers and developers now are learning from years of being crucified over showing nothing but CGI. You can't come to us with a presentation full of CGI. We want that gameplay. If you don't have gameplay ready for us, then you know what? Hold off. And so we're seeing now more and more and more of these reveals with a bit of CGI, but mainly gameplay, and that is so important.
Mm-hmm. It was scripted, but it was still in-game engine, right?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It was.
Yeah.
In other words, you might not get those special animations of him examining, the explosive crossbow bolt, but that was in the engine. That's what the game is going to look like graphically.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Which is what I want to see. I don't want to see nothing but CGI. CGI is great. I love me a good CGI cutscene or a trailer. Like, I love them, but I also want it to be backed up with some gameplay so I can see that what you're presenting to me is actually what the game's going to be. Unlike some trailers that you'll watch and then you'll buy the game and you're like, this looks nothing like the trailer. Like, is this even the same game? Did I buy the right game? So, yeah, gameplay, very, very, very important. But whilst we're on the subject matter of what games look like and how we feel about graphic fidelity and things like that, the announcement of the Xbox One original games, sorry, not the Xbox One, but the Xbox original games coming to the Xbox One through backwards compatibility. Now that wasn't such a surprise announcement as far as I'm concerned. I kind of felt like that was going to have to happen. There's been a lot of hinting about that over the last few months, and I feel like that there is some merit to it for me as a gamer, because there are some of the older games that I wouldn't mind popping in and playing. But I don't know, Mech Assault, that'll be fun. But how much time am I actually going to spend playing original Xbox games on my current generation console? Probably zero. What about you guys?
There's a couple I'll dabble in. Sorry, Eric, you go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sam.
For me, it's more important that the option is there, that they're caring and saying, like, even if we can only get some publishers on board, even if it doesn't get as much attention as 360 Back Compat did, these games are preserved. That operating system will always be there. People can always have this to play those games. That was what was more important for me. It's like, all right, that's a very consumer-friendly move. That's good. Not that I'll actually be investing hundreds upon hundreds of hours into it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for Burnout. if that comes back.
And see, that's one of those questions, like getting the sign off, because some of the devs are not even around anymore.
Right.
Some of the games that people really want,
Yeah, some of the IPs are just this shelved, and that's where they're going to stay.
Yeah, and personally, I'm all for game preservation. I don't know. I was never one of those people that had like a major problem with remasters happening, because I kind of understood why in some cases. In some cases they were to float things along until other like the actual meat and potato games started coming out. But it's still a form of game preservation. Those games will still be there. So OG Xbox, I was definitely like, cool, let's do it. My first question was, how many of those games are still readily available for people to pick up? How much of the secondary market is now going to be just like gouging?
Definitely.
How many is Microsoft themselves going to make available? And I know, like with Crimson Skies, they're actually working on that game to bring it to OG Xbox Back Compat, right, Sam?
Right. Yeah, that's one of two games, I believe. The other's Fusion Frenzy. Those are the two that have been announced.
Will they be coming with achievement support and upscale?
Basically, what they said is no achievement support right now. It's something they'd like to look into, but it's not something that can realistically be done right now. They did say there's going to be a digital version available for purchase of every game that does come to back compat, though. So there is that.
Which is good.
Yeah,
but where I was going with that is what will be great about that is that they kind of do, because remember how like Sony got like a lot of crap for doing, you know, PS2 to PS4, you know, saying it's not a true back compat. It's like, I don't think that's what they were going for, because if you think about it, they put work into bringing those there. They upscaled them. They put trophy support, you know, so what they were asking for a fee, I was like, I didn't see it as being the same. It's not just like popping in the 360 disc. That stuff is already kind of built in. But I would willingly, if they do the OG thing, OG Xbox, and they want to upscale it and they want to add achievement support, I wouldn't mind throwing a few extra bucks.
Yeah.
You know, to get that, because I think, like Bella just said, when you get that OG game, in some cases you're going to pop that in and you're going to go, ooh.
Like, this did not age well.
Right, you know,
so it might take your beer goggles off.
Yeah, you know, and not in every case, and you know, and nostalgia can definitely still put your rose tinted glasses on. So it'll be interesting to see how it's all handled and how it all like lays out.
Yeah.
So, but game preservation there's never anything wrong with that.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I think it's a great thing. I think there are a lot of people that will get a lot of value out of it. There are a lot of people that are super excited for being able to take some of those games that have literally been sitting on their shelf for the past several years and haven't even moved, probably are under an inch of dust, and be able to play them again. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I think it's a value add. For me, not a service that I'm particularly interested in, but I'm just one person. I would be interested to see, though, in 3 or 4 months' time, some statistics, as they do with back compat games, and they show, you know, X amount of million of people have played at least one backwards compatible game. I would like to see the statistics in a few months as to how many people do actually pick up an OG game and play it once it's added. I mean, when I say in a few months, I mean a few months after they actually had the service. This is not live yet, but yeah. So what we could do is probably sit here for about 3 hours and talk about all the games that were released. So what we'll do is I think that those are some of the main ones, but they're ones that I have specifically left out, because what I want to do is give everybody the opportunity to say what their top 3 things were that were announced at E3 that they were most excited about. And if we haven't already discussed them in those several ones we've been through, we'll have a quick chat about how everybody feels about it. So, Julius, would you like to go first? What were the top 3 things that you saw at E3 that you were just like, oh my God?
Absolutely. Anthem definitely on the top of the list. Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm super hyped about that. And Xbox One X. Definitely picking that one up.
Cool. Good spread. Mr. Tolbert?
So for me, the top one would have to be Ori, as I previously stated. It's just, that was hands down the best announcement. Second to that, I think, would be, now that I've had some time to think about it, Shadow of War. That game just continues to look absolutely outstanding. It's everything Shadow of Mordor did right.
Yeah,
plus
it looks
even
really
more
good.
And yeah, it's just, it looks incredible. Got to see that, like a special extended preview of that in the theater that they had at E3. It looks really good. So that would be number 2. And then third for me, though it's really difficult because I love Metro, would actually have to be God of War. I'm a sucker for Norse mythology. So seeing things like, Kratos is getting old, he's slowing down, he's training his son Atreus. The harsh Norse pantheon isn't taking to them very kindly. You see Fenris and then the world serpent, like, yep, I'm sold. Just bring it to me. Bring it to me right now.
Fair enough. Yep. Good selection. Mr. Jackson?
Yeah, I'm with Sam on God of War. That was like a hype moment, finally seeing a little bit more into that, because I'm also into Greek mythology. So that's always been a big draw to me for that franchise. Mm-hmm. And I can't help but feel like there's something more layered to this whole game than they're letting on. Agreed. 100%. So I'm really intrigued by that. Ori 2, hands down, definitely. And Anthem, for sure. But an honorable mention, seeing Spider-Man actually in action.
Indeed, that was good. Yeah, that was good to see. All right, so so we already know how I feel about Anthem. That's definitely my top 3. That is one game that I'm simply going to get. I think that my other two selections are really going to surprise people because they're not actual games, so to speak. The other two things that the other two things that got revealed at E3 that I like literally lost my mind, and I think everybody who was in the live group call with me that day ended up clinically deaf for the following 5 minutes after each reveal. One of them being the DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh my God, am I excited for that? Like, so excited. To the point that I got, like, straight away, when I picked up my phone, I started, like, messaging the lead director. I'm like, how can I get in this? Is it going to be an alpha? Is it going to get a beta? Can you get me in on this? I need it now. I can't wait till September. Like, I need this. He's like, okay, chill. Like, no, you don't understand. I need this DLC now. So, yeah, I'm super, super excited to be able to delve further into the world of Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, the other one, this should come as absolutely no surprise to anybody who knows me well, that actually has listened to me rant and rave about this game, and more specifically, a particular, I guess you can call it hobby, that one of the characters in the game has. And I have spent hundreds of hours, and I mean hundreds of hours, doing this one particular thing in the game. So without further ado, the third thing on my list is standalone Final Fantasy 15 fishing game in PSVR. In VR.
I think it's called.
I was sold as soon as they even said PS fishing, like fishing for Final Fantasy 15. That was it. I was done. I was sold. And then it was like, and it's on PSVR. Oh my God. I can't,
so you'll definitely be playing Final Fantasy 15.
I will be playing Final Fantasy 15. I think that everybody can hear how excited I am about this.
Yeah, when they announced it, I was like, what was that? I heard this noise like from across the globe. It was just this squeal.
Yeah,
it wasn't just a squeal.
Where I believe from all the videos that I've checked out and all the information that I've seen online, that I actually still currently hold the world record for the biggest fish caught in Final Fantasy 15. That thing was a whale. It was over 250 pounds. Took all 5 of them to carry it out of the lake. I love me some fishing in Final Fantasy 15. So I was so pumped. Like, there is nothing that excited me, which is a shame because there were so many brilliant games. But yeah, there is nothing that excited me more than the announcement that not only is Final Fantasy 15 coming out, but it's going to be on PSVR. Oh, so excited. All right, so now that we've recapped what everybody's favorite announcements were from E3, because we just literally can't cover them all, we don't have a day to sit here, let's move on to one of the main things that was announced at E3, and something that I'm sure everybody's keen to hear a little bit more about, and particularly our thoughts on this piece of hardware, is the full reveal of the Xbox One X. Now, I did say earlier that I would explain why I've dubbed it the Hug and Kiss Me box. As you know, the acronym for the Xbox One comes down to being an X and an O, and now it's the Xbox One X, and now it's going to be an X and an O and an X, which is exactly what you write when you like kiss, hug, kiss. So hence the reason I call it the Hug and Kiss Me box is I feel like one of the worst names that they could have possibly given this console. I mean, I know, nothing's greater than the power of X and all that sort of stuff, so I get where they're going with it. But for me, as soon as I saw that, I was like, did anybody at Microsoft, when they were deciding on this name, also go, well, what will the acronym be? What will people break this down to? An X, an O, and an X. Oh. So no, I guess no one did that. So yeah, anyway, what is everybody's feelings on the Hug and Kiss Me box? Are you going to pick it up day one? Are you going to wait a little while?
Well, the Hug Me Kiss Me box is kind of appropriate because if you mention the S and the X on Twitter and put the ampersand in between, it's the Xbox X.
Right.
Oh, Lord.
No, Sam, I came across that one day. I was like, oh, I'm not going to write that like that. I was like, that doesn't look right, but okay.
Wow.
Sorry. Oh man. I think the X it looks amazing. from like a form factor standpoint. Again, like the fact that they were able to actually get it smaller than the S is pretty crazy. Personally, I have not been given a compelling enough reason to pick it up yet myself, unless I, come across some way to just not pay the $500 on my own way, which I'm actually working on right now.
Yeah.
But I would love to have day and date the 4K TV to go with it. And I understand like the super sampling is there, and it's definitely a thing you can definitely pick up prior to having a 4K TV. But I know me, when I flip that switch, I want to see all the glory at once.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I would like to do. That would be, ideal. So no, I definitely want to see more real world application. I'm not one of these people that's caught up in this whole what's checkerboard, what's not. That's a lot of, to me, that's nonsense. As long as it looks good, as long as it, plays well, that's all I really ever cared about. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely want to see more real world application when people actually have it in hand and they're using it and it's out there. I'm kind of still waiting on that aspect of it. I am happy that it's actually got a name now, and I'm happy that it's actually almost on the way. But yeah,
I imagine you are, dude.
Yeah, but it hasn't changed any of the nonsense chatter. But blocking that part of it out, I do want to see it kind of running. I want to see how people react to it once they actually have it.
Right.
The real gamers, like real people who I can actually trust and listen to, and not they're not blowing smoke or or whatever the case may be. So, but anything that propels things forward, and that's what this is inevitably going to do. Whether it delivers on every single thing Microsoft said it would is irrelevant. It's delivering on a key portion of a lot of the things that they said it would do. So that's just going to propel things forward, and we'll benefit from it.
Indeed. I mean, for me, what I would actually, and I know this is going to sound bad, but what I would actually recommend for a lot of people who are super, super keen on getting this console is, look, unfortunately, Microsoft and Sony occasionally do it as well. They have a really bad habit of releasing a new console into the market, having everybody pay hand over fist hundreds upon hundreds of dollars for what is, it is worth the money. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. But then 4 or 5 weeks later, where you've just spent these hundreds of dollars and all you got with it is a console, and then you had to go out and buy games and stuff like that, they come out with a bundle just before Christmas, 4 or 5 weeks later, where you could pay the exact same amount of money, in some cases even pay a little bit less money, and get an additional 3 or 4 games with them. So I would recommend to anybody who just does not have to have this day one. Like if you can hold out for anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks, wait for the Christmas bundle, because you'll be able to get a whole heap of games. And it doesn't matter whether they're necessarily games that you want to play or not. Swap codes with friends or sell them and buy those to get other games. Don't rob yourself of potentially $180 in USD that you would have paid on these 3 games that you'll get for free with a bundle later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So and it's not going to massively affect sales for Microsoft if people hold out for a month, because it's only 4 weeks. It's not like I'm saying everybody hold out until next year. Just wait until Christmas. If you have to have it this year, I reckon just hold off a little bit and wait. I mean, I know that upgrade from 1.4 teraflops to 6 teraflops is blowing everyone's mind. And I know that everyone is super excited to have a console that just comes baseline 1 terabyte. I think another thing that everybody was up in arms about was like, oh my God, it's going to be 4K UHD Blu-ray. Well, the Xbox One Xbox One S actually already has that. So that's not an actual upgrade in that regard. But, there are quite a few significant upgrades. I mean, we're going from, I believe it's a custom Jaguar CPU at 1.75 gigahertz and 8 cores on the Xbox One S to a custom CPU at 2.3 gigahertz and 8 cores on the Xbox One X. So that's, a relatively decent improvement. And then we're going from a custom GPU at 914 megahertz, 12 CUs, 1.4 teraflops on the Xbox One S to a custom GPU at 1.172 gigahertz, 40 CUs, polarized features and 6 teraflops on the Xbox One X. So right there's some significant technological upgrades that are really going to not necessarily just improve our gaming experience. Like obviously we will have, better graphics and all of that, but where those specs are actually most important is to the developers, because that gives them more options. It gives them the ability to create more instances that happen per second. So you have more things that can be going on the screen. You can have larger worlds that will be able to load. You can have a much larger sandbox than has previously been allowed. So that's quite exciting in that regard. And also going from an 8 gigabyte storage up to 12 is going to be good as well. So yeah. Anyway, that's my memory. So yeah, that's my feelings on the Xbox One X.
I understood all of that tech speak.
I know you did, but
that was good. That was in depth.
Like, oh, Belle, nice.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think it looks good. I think it's exactly what it needs to be and what they said it was going to be in terms of a premium product that provides the best performance possible. So I'm going to probably wait for the holiday bundle, like Belle said, not at launch, but just a couple of weeks after that. Try to pick up a game with it as well, or an extra controller or something like that, something they always throw in. So I'm really looking forward to that. It'll go well with 4K screen or even a 1080p screen if that's what you still have. For me, though, what's actually been the most positive thing about it is seeing the developer reactions. Seeing people like, Monolith Productions, who are the ones making Shadow of War. They very casually mentioned on Twitter that, yeah, we received the dev kits and then we got the upgrade finished in under 2 hours. Something crazy like that. Forza 7 was finished in half a day. It's like that level of development increase, that's impressive to me. And so I think seeing it in the hands of developers is really, for me, the biggest selling point. That they're able to make their vision, their art, just that more realistic, that much better, that much quicker.
Yeah, no, I can hear you on that. We have to accept the fact that also I think a lot of people are looking at the marketing wrong and feel like this is actually the new generation console coming out, or it's actually not. It's actually a part of the current family of Xbox consoles that are out there. It's just it's an Xbox One S on steroids, basically.
Right.
It's not the be all and end all. You are still going to be able to get all of these experiences on your Xbox One or your Xbox One S. The only thing that you're not going to be able to play on the Xbox One X is VR games. Don't stress about that because it's launching without VR capability anyway, because their VR headset isn't ready to go. The functionality obviously is in the console itself, ready to go when that headset launches, but that isn't launching now. That's probably a late 2018 thing. So you don't have to worry about there being any division in the player base, which I think is brilliant. I love the fact that no matter whether you're on an Xbox One, an Xbox One S, or an Xbox One X, those two sound so similar. Why did they go Xbox One S and Xbox One X? Anyway, moving along. Regardless of which one of those three you're on, you're still going to be able to play multiplayer games with your friends. You'll all be able to be in a party chat. All your peripherals, your headsets, your controllers, all of that stuff will be compatible with the Xbox One X without having to buy one of these bulky connectors that we had to have on the controller when we went from Xbox 360 to Xbox One X to be able to actually use some of our, Turtle Beach and Triton headsets and stuff like that. So there'll be none of that issue. Everything's going to be compatible. So that's a good thing. I think that this is a great move forward. I believe the people who are going to really get the most benefit out of this console naturally are going to be people who have a 4K TV. Those who don't have a 4K TV, I've been told that you will actually still be able to see an upgrade. And of course, you'll be able to, take benefit from the fact that you have that functionality available to you when you do upgrade down the track. But day one, I strongly urge people, think about it. This is a lot of money. Do you absolutely have to have a console in your house that every single game you can play on it, you can already play on your Xbox One? Or can you just wait 3 or 4 weeks and get it then and get a few games with it, yeah? It just makes sense to me. So I hope that helps guide people's decision process. Yeah, indeed. It's common sense to me. We see Microsoft do this every time they bring a console out. You pay full price on day one, and then 3 or 4 weeks later, you feel like you're actually getting punished by supporting their product, by being a day one adapter. But like, yeah, Microsoft, I'm here. I love my Xbox. I'm here to support you. Let me buy this day one. And then a few weeks later, it's like, well, all those people who didn't bother to support us on day one, we're going to reward you by letting you get it cheaper and give you free games. It really annoys the crap out of me how they do that. It's just, if you can give free games away with a console 3 or 4 weeks later, then you can do it on release.
Absolutely. And I learned my lesson the first time. Like, I bought the Xbox One day one. And the only thing I have to show for it is a controller that says day one edition. And
Right.
But it's so special.
I know it was special.
You were there, Julius.
I know, but I was salty too at the fact that I was like, oh, there's a Halo bundle. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't have to pay for that, for that game. I could have just got it with the console had I waited. But then there's the whole early adopter and in me that's like, you need to get this now. you've got money burning a hole in your pocket. Go get it. But no, I'm definitely holding off this time around because of the 4K and HDR difference. That is exactly what I've been waiting for. And I think Microsoft realizes that they are appealing to the early adopters and those who are more tech savvy than everyone else in terms of what this console can do for games moving forward. So they still have their original Xbox One. They still have their original Xbox One S for those people who are like more price conscious and going, oh, okay, if I can play the same games on these consoles or these versions of consoles, then I'm not going to shell out the money. And I think they're kind of more aware of that this time around. And it's the people that have money burning in a hole in their pockets. They're like, yeah, I'm picking up a 4K TV this Christmas, and I can either go with a PS4 or an Xbox One Pro. Or sorry, Xbox One X, PS4 Pro. Oh, speaking of that, I am actually going to be picking up a PS4 very soon.
Good. About bloody time. I don't know how long I've been bugging you about that.
I know.
I say that, man. I tell people, you can't go wrong getting either one.
Oh, definitely. It was more of a budget thing, but I've got a bonus at work. Like, yeah, part of that's going to PS4.
Nice. He didn't get a bonus from RGM. Let me tell you, he got a price cut.
Food stamps.
Yeah, but if you look past the whole narratives of, well, this one's more powerful, and whatever you want to go with, I think both of them for what they offer from a dollar standpoint, I don't think you can go wrong with either one.
Absolutely.
And I definitely think, yeah, if you're being price conscious, waiting a little bit, because like Bella said, in the holidays, you probably will see some of those bundles. Black Friday, you probably will see some retailers slash.
100%. You probably even going to see a white one just before Christmas.
Yeah. So
I doubt that. Yeah. That'll be next year.
Oh, I don't know. Don't put it past them. It's money.
They've got a gold one out. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that gold Xbox, or no, the gold PlayStation, isn't it? Yeah, the gold PlayStation looks amazing. I was like,
Nah, I don't like it.
Should I? Because I could just sell my Pro.
Good. That's the Flavor Flav edition.
Flavor Flav!
The gold stacked edition.
Yeah. No, it's like something McDonald's would give to like one person for buying enough Big Macs in a lifetime. You get the gold.
Burger King edition.
Yeah.
I reckon anybody who has bought every single Xbox console on release day since they came out should get some sort of bonus this year with the Xbox One X as well, because they are releasing a lot of consoles in a very short amount of time. For those of us who got the Xbox One X and then upgraded to the Xbox One S and will now be upgrading to the Xbox One X, that's a lot of new consoles in a very short amount of time.
It's a lot of hardware, man. It really is.
Absolutely. Particularly if you're upgrading from a PS4 to a PS4 Pro at the same time and adding PSVR into that. I'm like, how much money do you lot want from me?
Yeah, and I held off. I still haven't picked up a Pro. I haven't picked up a Pro. I still have my OG PS4. I did pick up a 1S, and I moved on that quick over. Again, go back to like Black Friday. Amazon gave me a really good price on my OG, which
right
now, I mean, I don't know how much people are going to get for their OGs. They'll probably get a little bit more for their S, but I made a move on that. So yeah.
Yeah, see, the only reason that I ended up upgrading to the PS4 Pro, because I had absolutely no issues with my PS4. It's such a great console and the graphics are brilliant and all of that. I didn't feel like I absolutely needed the upgrade. There was no real compelling reason for me to get it other than the fact that I had just invested like $1,200 in getting PSVR and all its peripherals and, a dozen games and stuff. And the PS4 Pro had a upgrade to that. It was made effectively for the PSVR, whereas it will run with the PSVR without a problem. But there was a massive improvement that you would see from the quality that you would get on the PS4 Pro. In my mind, I'm like, well, spend $1,200 on this VR. I could go and trade in my PS4, get $200 for it, and then put another $200 on it and get the upgraded PS4 Pro, which will then give me the best experience possible and something I've just paid $1,200 for. So it made sense to me when I looked at it in that light. But if I didn't have PSVR, there would have been absolutely no necessity for me to upgrade to a PS4 Pro. Like the PS4 is a great console. So anyway, we have lingered on that subject matter for a little bit too long, so we are going to move right along to something that I am going to take a lot of fun in doing to you lot.
Oh boy.
In the absence of the grand final of debate night, since my challenger is unfortunately moving house again, still, maybe I think he's just scared and hiding, but we'll find out soon. Rather than later, I would hope. We are bringing back Games Trivia. This will be the second iteration of Games Trivia that we've had on the RGM podcast. The first one was a lot of fun, but I think I went a little bit too easy on them. This time I've actually had a Games Trivia, isn't it?
This is the third time we've had Games Trivia, actually.
Okay, well, thank you for correcting me live on air about that, Sam. So let's move on to the actual Games Trivia. I have pulled together a list of games trivia questions that I think is really going to put these guys through the ringer. So let's just go over the rules real quick, because I think this is the first time that you've participated in this. Is that right, Eric?
I do believe so.
Okay, so basically your buzzer is your name. So let's check everybody's buzzers. Julius?
Julius.
Sam?
Sam.
Eric?
Eric.
Okay, so we all get the concept. We all get the concept.
It sounded like a buzzer.
Yeah, make it sound like
that was awesome.
Eric. Eric.
So the whole idea here is that you don't actually have to wait to the end of the question to buzz in. However, and I'll be keeping score. However, if you do buzz in early and you get it wrong, you lose a point.
Do we have to put it in the form of a question?
No, you don't have to.
I ask the questions. You guys give the answers. All right, I have my little list here ready to go to record everybody's points on. So let's do this.
A lot of pressure, man. I feel stressed.
Oh,
yeah, I told you, I'm putting you boys to the ringer on this one. You better get your Google ready. All right, let's go.
Oh, we can Google?
If you want, but Google does take time. So keep that in mind. Yeah. All right, number one. Which gaming event has Ethernet cables that could stretch from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City, from New York City to Chicago, from Denver to Dallas, or from Madrid to Paris, in total weighing, I'll finish the question. In total, these cables weigh more than 2 tons. Julius?
E3?
Absolutely. All right, question number 2.
Was that a warm-up?
No, question number 1. We're going to question number 2. Which popular series was created based on the creator's experience as a child collecting caterpillars and watching them turn into butterflies?
Eric?
What?
Eric, yep.
Oh, you said which creator?
Which game series or which series was created based on the creator's experience as a child collecting caterpillars and watching them turn into butterflies? I'll give you a hint.
Julius.
Julius?
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Bum, bum.
Ah!
But you didn't buzz in early, so you don't lose your point.
All right.
All right, I'll give you a hint. You got to catch them all.
Yep, Sam.
Sam?
Pokemon?
Yep, you got it.
Wait, didn't I get my buzzer in before Sam?
No, I'm going on what I hear, so I'm sorry. I heard Sam first.
I've had that happen, dude. It's the very first time I was having some lag. It's all right.
No
That's all right. You still got 7 more questions. All right. Which installment and listen to this one carefully, or otherwise you will get the wrong answer. Which installment in a post-nuclear game franchise attempted to get Bill Clinton to voice the role of the president? Sam?
That would be Fallout 3?
Well done. Blindlight, the casting agency for Fallout 3, tried to get the former president to voice the game's president, John Eden, but were declined. Apparently, Mr. Clinton has received so many offers over the years, with his attorneys always responding, saying, the former president will not be participating in your video game products. Thank you very much. Blindlight actually loved the candid answer rather than the usual ignore for 6 months approach of other agencies. So that's a little bit of backstory on that one for you. All right, question number 4. Which game console actually had less power than a calculator? Come on, you lot. I'm pretty sure everybody's like busy Googling right now. Nobody? You got 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2.
The Commodore 64. Sam. Sorry, I have to say Sam.
Mm-hmm.
The Commodore 64?
Yeah, it was. Well done. Well done. Well, actually, what I should say is great work on Google then. While the Commodore 64 was quite innovative for its day, it's particularly rudimentary by today's standards. Everybody's favorite calculator from high school, the popular Texas Instruments TI-83, has more graphics processing power than the Commodore 64. You can even program some basic Commodore 64 games into the calculator.
It's all checkerboard.
Oh, goodness. All right, moving on to the next question. Which FPS game actually features the voices of Conan O'Brien and Andy Richter? I feel like none of you know any of this and you're just like frantically Googling. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bum, bum.
Eric.
Oh, Eric, you got in just before I finish. All right, I'll let you have a shot at the answer.
Halo 4.
Yeah, right, it was, yeah. So Conan O'Brien and Andy Richter had a bit of fun recording during one of Conan's shows before Halo 4 came out, and they recorded some of the screens and dialogue for the game, and their dialogue was actually included as an Easter egg in the final game, with 2 Marines talking about looting crates during the 6th mission, I believe. So that's a bit of background on that for you. All right, question number 6. Which of these video games actually was the first game to physically go into outer space? No, not which of these, but which video game is the first one to physically actually go into outer space? I feel like I made these questions too hard.
Maybe.
Having to really dust off some of the brain cells in the far back.
4. Julius?
Tetris?
Nope.
Ah, dang.
Sam?
Damn, my Google search was wrong.
Asteroid defense?
Nope.
Oh, come on.
All right, Eric, you have 5 seconds. In 5, 4, 3. Eric?
Pac-Man?
Oh, you're all wrong. You all suck at this. Mission specialist Daniel T. Berry took his favorite game, the very first copy of StarCraft, with him aboard the Discovery shuttle mission STS-96 on May 27th in 1999. It was the first shuttle flight to dock in the International Space Station. The StarCraft game CD orbited the Earth 153 times and traveled 3.5 million nautical miles and now resides at Blizzard headquarters in Irvine, CA.
Huh. Well, there you go.
There you go. All right, question number 7.
But I don't have this knowledge just chilling in my...
Where the hell did you find these?
Seriously, man. Like...
All right,
she told the
question number
truth.
7.
Yeah,
This one should be easier. This one should be easier. If you guys don't know this one, we're really disappointed and potentially
Says the lady
firing
with
some
the
people
answer
at
card.
the end of this one. All right,
my
question
God.
number 7. Which video game had millions of copies buried in New Mexico due
Eric,
to poor
Sam.
sales? Oh, Eric got in first there.
E.T.
More information.
E.T. the extraterrestrial.
Correct.
I can give more
Correct.
info. Oh,
She said more information.
E.T. the Extraterrestrial came out on Atari 2600 in 1982 to cash on the movie's fame. Unfortunately, it was also right before the video game crash in 1983, where the market became flooded with games and consoles, leading to a decline in video games until the NES. Competition was fierce in the market, something that Atari couldn't have expected. Retailers canceled orders, and Atari was left with millions of unsold game cartridges, so they buried them in New Mexico. The site was recently excavated in 2014, and 700,000 cartridges were received, but there are still many more buried in the landfill.
yep.
All right,
Pretty cool.
question number 8. This is a good one. I really hope someone's going to get this one. And I'm actually going to give you a clue. Somebody actually incorrectly answered with this game to another question previously. All right, question number 8. Which game is Billy Mitchell known for being the first to get the highest score during 1999 after 6 hours of play, which is considered to be the perfect game?
Sam?
Sam?
Pac-Man?
Well done. Oh, there was no Google involved. I feel like you guys are getting the hang of this. All right, it was considered the perfect game, and the only way to achieve it was to do everything perfectly. Eat every dot, power pellet, fruit, the enemy in the first 225 levels without losing a single life, use all the extra lives in level 256 for extra points. The first person to get this perfect score, obviously, was Billy Mitchell in 1999. Over 20 people have done it since then, with David Ryse holding the world record at 3 hours and 28 minutes, 49 seconds in 2013.
Wow.
All right, question number 9. Which video game franchise has the most total overall in lawsuits?
Sam?
Sam?
That would have to be Grand Theft Auto.
You are correct. You are correct. Most of these lawsuits are made by Jack Thompson, who was famous for his crusade against GTA and its supposed effects on violence and children. The more famous of these many lawsuits was the one Thompson filed for over $246 million against Grand Theft Auto 3, PlayStation, and Walmart for supposedly inspiring 2 teenagers to mimic the video game's violence. Thompson was eventually disbarred for frivolous lawsuits.
That's not something you hear every day.
Indeed, indeed. All right, this is the last question, gentlemen. Which iconic video game character, actually named after the landlord of the first warehouse the studio worked in, also originally named Mr. Video Game?
Eric?
Eric?
I think that's Mario.
It is Mario! Mario was actually named after the landlord of Nintendo's first warehouse, Mr. Mario Seagal. the original name of Mario was actually Mr. Video Game, which ended up becoming Mr. Seagal's nickname. Speaking of Mario, he is actually appearing in over 120 video games. All right,
Nice.
so that wraps up the trivia. We have, coming in third place, Julius with 1 correct answer.
Mwah.
Coming in second place, we have Eric with 3 correct answers. And coming in first place, we have Sam with 5 correct answers. Well done.
Yay.
Nicely done. Congrats.
Well done, bro.
I almost went in on the Grand Theft Auto one. I delayed.
Yeah, yeah, same thing.
I feel
That's my
like you
excuse.
gentlemen are going to have to come a little bit more prepared next time I'm organising games trivia. Oh, God. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move straight onto that, into our second segment of the evening, which is some on-the-ground news and impressions from E3 2017. So obviously, Samuel, being one of the writers that was actually able to go to these press conferences and talk to the developers and go to the game demonstrations, I'm going to hand over for you to give us a quick rundown about what the experience was like and some of the things you learned from the event.
Okay. Wow. So I could talk for a very, very long time about everything
You
that I
have
experienced on
13 minutes and 16 seconds.
Yeah, this is going to be really difficult. Okay. E3 was absolutely crazy. I had never been to LA before, so it was very interesting trying to figure out where to navigate, you know, how to get around the city, where to get food, all this other stuff. It's a really big place, obviously. So that was interesting, but it was also pretty fun. It helped that there were a couple of people that, you know, I was able to talk to, and they had been there many times before, and they were willing to help out. So that was all good. From there, the first thing we did was Kevin was the other writer who was with me. We tried to go to the EA Play event. Lo and behold, EA accidentally accepted about 6 or 7 times too many tickets.
Oh.
So they had a couple of thousand people when they were only really able to handle about 500. We were there in line an hour early, and we weren't able to get in all day long. So that was really interesting. And EA has been panned for that, and they're going to continue to get panned for that. It's going to be interesting to see what they try and do next year, because this year was a total bust if you weren't one of the people who was camping out, 12 hours beforehand. It's ridiculous. So from there, the next day went much better, though, getting to go to the Microsoft press conference and see, actually being there in the theater, seeing that they had this massive 4K HDR screen, all the deep bass speakers. That was an experience. That was phenomenal. It was a great conference. It was made slightly less so by the fact that immediately after the conference, I was running back to the hotel room to help cover all the information with the team. But it was still good. It was still fantastic. It was all good. And then, next day was pretty much just to stay at the hotel, help cover the events. You had Ubisoft, Sony, then Nintendo, Bethesda, all that happened. So that was interesting. All very good conferences. A lot I could criticize from some of them, a lot I couldn't, but all there. Then on the 13th, the show floor opened. And as some of you may or may not know, the show floor was open to the public this year. If you had around $1,000, you could purchase a ticket and go there on the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th. A lot of people had this idea. And there were already going to be several thousand members of the media there. So as a result, the convention center was packed. And by packed, I don't mean that there was a line for everything. I don't mean that there were a few hundred people in every single room. I mean, to get into any room, you were standing in a queue for sometimes an hour, or having to push your way past or go into some of the different hallways to get to your meetings. There was one meeting that I was almost late to, even though I tried to get there about an hour early, simply because of how many people were there. I don't blame the people who purchased tickets to go there. They're fans of gaming. They just wanted to experience it. That's all good. That's not on them. My issue is with E3's organizers for trying to do this in the first place. So yeah, that'll be very interesting next year. But
so what
actually
was your
getting into some of these opponents,
because I know that we like you said, you could talk about E3 for hours and hours, and obviously we don't have hours and hours. So what were the highlights for you? Let's recap the highlights.
So that one of the highlights, in fact, probably the best game I played there, was actually a PlayStation VR game. my first time trying PSVR, and it was a little title I've written about called Moss. And is anyone here familiar with the Redwall books by Brian Jacques?
I am not, but for anybody in the chat section that doesn't know about Moss, there is a link in the chat right now that you can check out.
Okay, well, if you are familiar, it's, anthropomorphic forest animals like mice and foxes and stuff like that. That's the kind of world that Moss is based off of. You control a little mouse named Quill. She's a warrior mouse. She's really cute. And you, the player, are actually a character in the game as well, due to the use of VR. And you have to interact with her. You have to build trust with her. You can actually scratch her head after a battle to try and calm her down. If she gets injured, you heal her by holding her. And you work together and build this relationship of, she solves platforming puzzles, and, you guide her to defeat enemies and move stone blocks around. And each of you can do things that the other can't, even though you're guiding her.
Ori in the Blind Forest, but in VR.
That sort of, yeah, that is one way of describing it. And the game is built straight up. I talked with Danny Biola, who is the co-founder of the studio Polyarch that's making the game. He's a former Bungie employee. And Danny was guiding me through the demo and explained that Moss was designed to counter the issues that VR has. It's designed to be a tranquil experience. It's very soothing. There's fade to black transitions, soft, gentle music at all times, the sound of ruffling pages from a book, like a story that's actually being written as you transition from set piece to set piece. It's all very, very well done, and I'm looking forward to it when it launches later this year. Moss, it's difficult for me to say it sold me on VR, but honestly, I have to say it sold me on VR. It showed me what that platform can do that you really can't get anywhere else.
PSVR.
So that was definitely a major highlight of the show. I also worth mentioning, I got to play Crackdown 3. It's an absolute blast. I wouldn't expect anything even remotely resembling a good story from it, but that's okay because that's clearly not what it's meant to do. It's blow stuff up, rip trucks apart, and throw them at enemies, then throw the enemies at other bigger enemies.
It's like
crazy black hole vortex guns.
Tomorrow you're throwing cars.
Yeah, it's like, in just playing that, it was a little single-player demo section, but the game is going to have 4-player co-op and play anywhere on Windows 10 and Xbox One, so you can play together with your friends like that. You can play through the whole campaign. Then there's 10-player multiplayer where you can actually bring down the buildings. It's going to be a blast.
Awesome.
A lot of fun.
Awesome.
I also got to play the new Assassin. Does anyone have any questions? You're free to ask, and if you have something specific you'd like to ask about.
Oh, I know I'm free to. Keep going.
And then I got to try Assassin's Creed Origins. It's a lot more difficult. I think after Unity, and then I know they tried to do some newer things with Syndicate, and they took the feedback to heart, but this taking a break was what the series needed. They've gone back to basic in a lot of ways. It reminds me of Assassin's Creed 2 in some of the movement, but the combat is a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to, actually stalk your targets and be like, okay, there's these 2 guards over here. If I take this guy out with an arrow, then I can hop over and assassinate this guy. You can't just charge in there and slaughter everybody. You will, and I like that. I really, really like that. It also looks incredibly good. Egypt is a phenomenal setting. Anything in the Mesopotamic, in the Mesopotamic region, it looks amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that when that comes out. Then let's see here. What was another game I got to check out? Okay, so Vampire. Yes, I got an extended 60-minute showing of Vampire behind closed doors, which is being developed by Don't Nod Entertainment, who are the developers of Life is Strange. Vampire, simply put, looks incredible. This could easily be the game that puts Focus Home Interactive on the map as a AAA publisher. Into that region for a long time now, and this really could be it. You play as Jonathan Reed, who's a vampire, recently turned, and he's struggling to manage the fact that he is now a creature of the night with the fact that he's also an army doctor. He's sworn, obviously, the Hippocratic Oath to help people and never to hurt them. And Strange, you're familiar with the system it uses of NPCs that all interact, and they have relationships with each other, and helping one may hinder another, and all that sort of thing.
So it's Life is Strange for Twilight.
No, do not mention Twilight. Don't talk about Twilight. It's Life is Strange meets Dracula. Might be a better way of saying it.
Twilight.
It uses classic vampiric lore. Like, for example, if you are trying to help someone or you're trying to suck someone's blood, either way, you have to be invited into a house. You can't just go waltzing in somewhere. You actually have to get them to invite you in properly, which is a very nice touch to the original novel of Dracula. You have lots of really cool vampiric powers for combat, like being able to possess wolves and owls and rats. You can command them in swarms. You can shapeshift into a cloud of bats. You can drain someone's blood, wield different weapons. So there's a huge combat system. And you can fight both human inquisitors and witch hunters, and also more feral vampires. The monsters you might see in like Underworld or something like that. You know, they've gone all bat-like and feral. And so needless to say, I could talk about that game for a very long time, but Vampire is something that people need to keep their eyes on. It looks really, really good.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for that game. Like, you already know, you know how I am when it comes to anything to do with zombies and vampires and stuff like that. Like, I'm all over it. And I only just finished Life is Strange. I know it's been out for forever, but I only just finished Life is Strange, and it had an emotional and profound effect on me. So hearing that Don't Nod are making this game and putting it in a genre where I like all these themes that I just super love in video games is utterly exciting. It's definitely a game that's well on my radar. Now, we could let you go on for about the next hour or so, but we will keep some of that for the next podcast because there's so much more for you to talk about, and we don't want to have you having to sit there and talk nonstop. That's just not fair on you. So if anybody has any questions in particular, I'm sure they can hit you up on Twitter, and your Twitter handle is?
It is my name. It's at Samuel Tolbert. Very easy to reach me.
And just spell out that surname because I always misspell it.
Of course. Tolbert.
So yeah, if you want to ask Sam about anything else that he saw at E3 or any of his impressions, or get links to particular articles about his impressions of various games and demonstrations that he was able to go and see, then please hit him up on Twitter. He's more than happy to do it. Don't message me because I'll just tell you message him. So message him. All right, so let's move into the last segment of the evening. And as always, whilst we are talking about the What Grinds My Gears segment, if there are any burning questions that you have in the chat section, make sure to pop them up there so that we can get to them before we close out. But we will go in the usual order. So, Mr. Julius Malco, apart from Grout, what grinds your tires? What grinds your tires? What grinds your gears?
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, I won't get into
the bathroom remodeling.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna keep this gaming related. Okay. What grinds my gears is the amount of back and forth between gamers about what hardware does what hardware does this, and what's better. And I think it's starting to die down, and I really hope it is starting to die down, but with the release of the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, we now have two 4K consoles that are capable of delivering amazing experiences, and that's exactly what we are about. It's about coming together and discussing games and playing the games that we want, no matter where we decide to choose, based on either budgets or for the sheer fact that the majority of your friends play on one certain platform. There is nothing that irks me more than someone going, well, I'm not going to play that game because it's on that console. I mean, if the reason why is you can't play that game because you can't afford it, then just say it. It's like, I can't afford it, so I have what I have, and that's what I'm gonna play with, right? Mm-hmm. And that really, and seeing the dialogue during E3 and then after E3, and then certain people spinning it, it's just like, guys, come on, like, this is not what we're about. This is useless. It's divisive, and it's sometimes it makes me feel really bad to be associated with gaming, because it's like someone talking about, oh, well, someone said this on Twitter and someone said this on Facebook, and I've actually had people unfriend me for certain things that I've said because of my beliefs and what I feel, about a certain platform. And it's just like, why are you unfriending me on Facebook because of a choice that I made, and because I don't have the money to buy all the consoles that you have. Like, it's ridiculous. That's what grinds my gears.
So basically encapsulated what grinds your gears is console wars.
Exactly. And that's
that could have been done in about 6 words, but yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
Oh dear. All right, Sam, what's been grinding your gears?
Well, Julius stole mine, so with that in mind,
I hacked your emails.
Oh god. Oh god. With that in mind, I'm going to have to say, I went into this earlier, and I'll just rehash this then. It's not the fault of the people who wanted to be there, but it is the fault of the E3 organizers. We can't do our job as games and media if we're not actually capable of going room to room. The case. Even if I made every appointment, I talked to multiple people who simply couldn't. Not out of malice, not out of malcontent, but simply because there were so many people, navigating rooms would take forever. The shortest game line that was there, I believe, had a 5-hour wait. Destiny 2, Call of Duty, and Battlefront 2, if you did not get into line in the first 15 minutes of the show, you didn't play them all day.
Yeah, I heard that some people actually
stood
in a line for one game all day, and then before they even got to the front of the line, they're like, nope, we're closed for the day, bye. So they spent the entire day standing in line and got to do nothing and see nothing.
That is absolutely correct. It was many things, if you were not media, were unplayable. Many things, even if you were media, even if you had the media badge, many of the different vendors and booths and developers still wouldn't let you hop to the front of the line or skip anyone who wasn't media. It was absolutely absurd.
That's horrible.
Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, you had to be in line for that in the first 40 minutes, I believe. Let's see here. And some of the vendors had more stalls than others. Like, for example, Crackdown 3, they had like 16 different booths for people to play it. So it wasn't because there weren't enough booths. It was just because of how many people there were.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Detroit, for example, I tried playing that at the PlayStation booth. There were 3 demo sections. 3. So that went very, very well anytime anyone tried to get into that. It was, I don't know. I could go on and on about it, but something's got to give. They can't let that happen again next year.
Yeah. I've heard so many people come back with their opinions on how that was handled, and there's not a lot of happy people about it. Actually, funny you should mention that though, because there are some people that were okay with that, and that is actually primarily developers that I have spoken to. They're like, yeah, this is great for us. This is great for our game, and great for people to have that experience and to be able to take that away and then feed that information back to their friends and get them hyped about it. And, so we're opening up so many more, portals to gamers across the world that we normally wouldn't have, from people being able to actually come in from the public, experience these games, and then disseminate that information down through their friends online. So I see why, from a developer's point of view, it was great. And a lot of there has been some feedback from some developers as well, just saying, like, anybody who's complaining about this, like, you need to stop. This is so good for the games. It's about the public. We're here to work, and we're here working, and these people are here to see what we've done, and anybody else should just be okay with that. But the thing is that people that are there from the press are there to work as well. So they need to be able to do their job and not be impeded by the fact that the entire thing is flooded with public. I think what really needs to happen in the future is for there to be 1 or 2 days dedicated just for media and press, and then 1 or 2 days dedicated where it's like, public, come in, have your fun, play the games, experience it, get the E3 experience. That way, people doing their job can get their job done, and people who just are excited about the games can experience it and have that fun.
Yeah,
I completely agree with that. I know from my last experience, I know it was like 7 years ago, but it was strictly a media pass only. There were lineups, but there wasn't anything like Sam had described. It was like there were certain places where if you had a certain pass you could go through, and if you didn't, then you were basically shut out. But yeah, like where this is an industry trade show, and you have people there, trying to do their jobs by reporting on what they've seen, and if you're being hampered by the fact that there are public people who are in the line ahead of you, it's kind of frustrating. But at the same time, I can understand from the developers and other people's standpoint that more eyes means more hype, more communication. But I don't know. Yeah, I like the idea of having a public day where the media, they've done all their work and we can just hang out, and hang out with those gamers, right?
Yeah, that's right. Everybody gets to do what they want to do. Everybody gets to do their job. Everybody gets to have fun and play the games. Everybody wins.
Yep.
Instead of everybody being packed in like sardines the entire time and not being able to do friggin' anything.
Yeah. I mean, 5 hours for a game or trying to get into one game and then not being able to play it, that would be heartbreaking.
I wouldn't even wait in line for 5 hours for Final Fantasy 15. And you know how hyped I am for that.
Yep. I'll end it on this. Some games you weren't able to play if you weren't media, but there were still like presentations you could get into, right? Like theater showings of extended demos.
Yeah.
One such theater presentation, I'm going to be writing about it this week, what I thought about it, what I liked and didn't like. That had a 4-hour wait.
Yeah, right.
Game for 15 minutes.
And you're not even playing the game. You're just going to be sitting down and looking at it, which you can catch online for free at a later date. Oh, it's insane. It's insanity. Okay, that's a good one. Moving along to Eric, what has been grinding your gears?
I had two, but I'm trying to keep with the theme that's been kind of going here of annoyances. Something that like really kind of grinds my gears. Two of them it is. People spend so much time and energy being angry at some of the bigger like gaming websites for their clickbaity type titles and everything else.
I hear you.
Non-stop. It's like you are doing. It's like the low-hanging fruit. It's like I think it's at a point now where some of these sites do it just because they're bored in a slow news week.
Yeah, right.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel, and it's like you're doing exactly what they want you to do. And honestly, you shouldn't even be that much in your feelings that when someone writes a title or a headline of something that you don't agree with, that it makes you melt down and you spend 6 days like talking about the same thing and basically sending everyone back to that site to give them the click. It's like, I got to see this for myself. Click. They won. They got what they wanted out of you. And it's just crazy, like how much energy is spent on it.
Agreed. Yeah.
Where there's clearly sites like ours where you can go and not even have to experience any of that.
Yep. The thing is, what you're saying, if I'm understanding you, Eric, right, is sure it's a problem, sure it's an issue, but roll your eyes and don't give them the attention.
Exactly.
Don't feed them. Don't give them the clicks. And the thing is, they'll die off because they can't sustain it if no one's giving them the attention for it, regardless of whether their motivations are evil or not or whatever. Doesn't matter.
Right. But the thing is it's a mob mentality, right? Like people feed off of negative energy. One guy says something and then some guy defends it, and then one guy says, no, I'm defending that guy, and it's just back and forth, and it just then all of a sudden this website's going, I got the clicks, or this YouTuber's I got the traffic, and it's ridiculous. At the end of the day, when the dust settles and you go, where the hell did I spend the last 15 minutes reading this feed on Twitter or scrolling through the comments on this YouTube channel when I know that this video is absolute BS, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
And it works. It's like I always kind of liken it to. I always get this image in my head of like the coyote sitting around with all these Acme products around him, and he keeps blowing himself. And it's the same people that fall for it every freaking time. And I'm like how many times are you going to fall for this? It's like it's almost like they're doing it intentionally now. But if you just ignore it, if you read it and you're not so in your feelings about it, and just go, that's bait. I'm not going for that one. Yeah, I'm going to go over here and read someone who's actually trying to write something, to help me gain knowledge, or to, you know, that helps me be a better gamer or helps me understand something a little bit better. You know, and shame on the sites that do it, but at the same time, it's almost like, hey guys, watch this. You know,
hold my beer.
Well, on that note, people can go to www.realgamemedia.com and not have to worry about clicking on anything that they feel is clickbait, because we don't do that shit. So before we quickly wrap up, because we are right on time at the moment, what grinds my gears is when I work so hard all week long at work, and then I come home and I work for RGM, and then I get up and I go to work and I come home and work for RGM, and I do that all week long. And then I get actually a chance to play some games, and right before I go to bed, I'm like, let me just lay down in front of this heater here real quick with the cats. And then I wake up at 6 o'clock the following morning. I've spent the night sleeping on a hardwood floor, and my shoulder is now sore as hell for the next 3 days. That's what grinds my gears.
Oh.
Yeah,
wow, I'm sorry,
on
Belle.
the hardwood floor in -degree temperatures, because we're in winter here. So yeah, that was a bit rough. So anyway, that's what grinds my gears, when you're so exhausted that you fall asleep on the floor. So having said that, we are going to wrap up because we are right on time, and we don't want to keep people hanging around when you could actually keep going and playing some video games, because that's what we are here for, to talk about the video games and then to go and play them, because that's what we love playing. So thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat section, and for everybody who's listening live. We really, really appreciate your support and your interaction. We're all about the community, so it's so important for us to have that connection with you and for us to be able to interact with you on that level. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you very much to all the panel members for taking the time out today to engage in this amazing conversation that we just had.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. So we will be back in 2 weeks' time, presumably with the grand final of Debate Night, where myself and Anchorman from the Inner Circle Network will be going head-to-head to prove who is the greatest debater. You can be pretty sure I'm going to win. No.
Like, I'm moving again.
He's going to keep moving. He's on the run.
Yeah, he's just going to continue to move. Like every week, I'm moving again. Yes, Anchorman, you just got called out. Okay, so we are going to leave now. Obviously, everybody, thank you. As I said, we will be back again in 2 weeks' time. In the meantime, please feel free to head across to www.realgamemedia.com to check out our content that goes up every day. Or you can follow us on Twitter at @RealGameMedia, because we actually man our Twitter account. Every day we are there. You will get a response from an actual person, so you can interact with us. But in between now and another 2 weeks' time, this has been another Real Game Media podcast.